So it looks like we have a lot of things in common as far as bridging the science and the spiritual when it comes to uh, bringing a sense of practicality and groundedness to things that have long been taught by the mystics in
Hmm.
various religions. I feel like most religions pretty well stemmed from more or less the same understanding, and then they just
Yep.
branched off because if you're familiar with the telephone game,
Hmm.
yeah, where,
That's a metaphor I use.
oh, good, cool.
Well,
Yeah.
if 10 humans that speak the same language from the same culture can't pass a message, how are you going to do it across multiple languages and cultures in thousands of years? Impossible.
Yes, especially when historically it's looked like magic. You know, we couldn't explain exactly what was going on or what we were trying to, the gap was just too big between what the practitioners understood as truth and wisdom and knowledge versus what your everyday person understood. So the science is just now catching up with all of this stuff, which makes it super exciting.
Very cool.
So you started out with you're an MIT engineer or were. So that's very right brain, very or left brain, sorry, scientific. And how did you always did you stumble into this world like later on, or was it you always had a
Uh,
interest in these
I
things?
would say it was both.
Okay.
That when I was young, I loved magic and mystery. So I loved the King Arthur stories. I loved Lord of the Rings and Star Wars and the Force and that kind of thing. And so part of me always wanted magic to be real. But what our religion and our culture teaches us is that magic and miracles only happen for a few very special people and generally thousands of years ago.
Mm.
And don't expect it to happen for you, right? And it was interesting that when I first got to MIT, the first thing I did when I got to campus was I beeline to join a martial arts club because to me, martial arts was one of the closest things to real magic and spirituality you could find in the modern world.
Mm. I agree.
And it was funny that I was in what junior high, high school when Karate Kid came out, and I so much wanted to learn karate, but my mom wouldn't let me. And so that became kind of my passion, obviously second to academics when I was at MIT, but I trained in martial arts the whole time I was there consistently.
Why,
And it's
what was
kind of
her
funny.
reasoning for not letting you join karate?
She thought I would get hurt.
Oh, okay.
And it is funny that it's because people watch the Karate Kid and they're fighting full force with no pads.
Yeah,
It's like that only happens in professional high level MMA, right?
true.
No, nobody puts kids out to fight each other full force without pads. You'd be sued into oblivion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same reason my mom wouldn't let me play football. She was worried I would get hurt. So I went and played basketball and blew out my knee. But it was interesting that,
Natural.
so for me, martial arts was really my first introduction to what I would say was real spirituality,
Hmm.
more so the internal arts, things like Aikido and Tai Chi.
Yes.
And I even say to this day that the most important things I learned across 6 years and 2.5 degrees at MIT was martial arts because it gave me that spiritual grounding and also the physical intelligence I lacked and the confidence. So that was a huge inner transformation for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened to me was when I got to MIT, I discovered the internet, which, today sounds funny to the younger people listening, but I had never heard of it before. And when I got there, it was late 80s. And I was just blown away. I'm like, this is just the coolest thing ever. And so that became the focus of my studies. I got my bachelor's degree. And it's funny that I will admit the reason I chose MIT for grad school was I wanted to finish my black belt. And I also got accepted at Berkeley and Stanford. But I'm like, no, I'm going to stay at MIT primarily because I wanted to get my black belt, right? And so I became a specialist in TCP/IP internetworking. My master's thesis was one of the first attempts at sending synchronized real-time audio video streams over the web. So we were doing some really cool stuff. And then when the internet's boom started, I figured this is my gold rush, right? Here I am perfectly positioned as one of the world's leading experts on the internet right at the time, 94, 95, the internet started to hit the mainstream. So I left MIT, didn't finish my PhD, which, I'm in a small club of overeducated dropouts. There's not a lot of us. And at first, I recruited my lifelong best friend to form a web company. Is that there was a huge demand at that time.
Hmm.
And it's a true story. The very first website I ever built in my life, beyond like Brent's homepage, was the website for the launch of the Sony PlayStation in the summer of 1995. So things were really exciting at first. We did the first website for the PlayStation, the first website for Nissan Motors. We did the first Disneyland website. Uh, a year later, I had 15 people working for me, but the web wasn't scratching the itch. It was too primitive at the time.
Hmm.
My real dream was to be a video game developer. And what I wanted to do was create, today we call them MOGs or MMORPGs like World of Warcraft.
Hmm.
But it was just a dream back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But I thought I could do it. And so we formed a second company and created the first MMORPG, 3D graphical first person. It was called Underlight. But there was a dirty little secret that I was the prime developer and architect and manager for two fast-growing internet companies right at the start of the internet boom. And that translated into continuous 100-hour work weeks
I'm sure.
that I had no time for breaks, no weekends, no vacations, no holidays, nothing. It was pretty much eat, work, sleep, and go to jujitsu twice a week. That was my life. And I was okay with that for a while because I love my work.
Mm.
But after a couple of years of this, my body started to break down. And long story short, I was devastated by repetitive stress injuries. And like a lot of people, I figured, oh, I'm in pain. I'll go to the doctor. They'll give me something. I'll get over it, right? Well, it wasn't quite that simple. So, long story short, I spent the next 3 years doing conventional therapy, but I didn't get better. I just got worse and worse and worse. And my pain got worse. I had to move in with my parents. I could only drive 10 minutes at a time. I couldn't even read books because it was too painful to hold a book open. So this wasn't just like a tingle in my wrist. This was constant soul crushing pain. And it, annihilated my life. And it all came to a head in 1998 when I finally got in with an appointment to see the very top doctor at the Curlin Job Physical Therapy Clinic. And I figured this guy will know what to do, right? Because I had been at the Curlin Job for almost 3 years. Here's me along Olympic athletes and, Lakers and Dodgers, right, doing physical therapy. And I thought, wow, this guy will know what to do. And I was so excited because I just wanted to be out of pain so I could go back to work.
Hmm.
And instead, when I went in to see him, he's looked at my medical records and he just said, well, I'm sorry, son, there's nothing I or any doctor can do here. You're always going to be in pain and you'll never be able to go back to work. And I was so stunned, I didn't even have words. I didn't expect that. I thought he'd have a surgery or a program or some experimental treatment or something, right?
And how old were you at this time?
Well, it was funny. The last thing he said before I left his office, he said, son, do you got somewhere to go where they can take care of you for the rest of your life? And I was still in my 20s. So he recommended me for lifetime permanent disability, which is very rare for someone in their 20s.
Hmm.
Usually, when you get recommended for lifetime disability in your 20s, you're missing a limb or you're paralyzed or you have enormous brain damage or something really severe like that. So he put me in that category.
Was
And I
there a
remember,
specific like injury or
yeah, it was
diagnosis?
repetitive stress injuries.
Okay, just
So
like
it was a
good.
whole bunch of itises and syndromes. I had bursitis, I had brachyitis, I had epicondylitis, I had thoracic outlet syndrome, I had carpal tunnel syndrome. So I used to joke I had itis syndrome because I had so many itises and syndromes. But what it came down to is I was in a lot of pain all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and working made it worse.
Hmm.
And years of therapy didn't help. I just kept getting worse. So they gave up on me. And when I was walking out, I remember his secretary said, "Oh, sir, just to be clear, please don't ever come back." We can't be spending our limited resources on impossible cases like you. So that was essentially conventional medicine slamming the door in my face,
As it does with many people.
as it does with many people that don't fit their program, right?
Hmm.
And it's sad. But when I went to tell my best friend and business partner, I thought he'd be all, Brent, this sucks. It's a setback. We'll get through it. But it wasn't that. It was the opposite. He said, well, if you're not going to get better, you have no place here. And so I got fired at my positions at the two companies I had founded that were built up with my talent, my education, my blood, my sweat, my tears. Because he wasn't working 100 hours a week. That was me, right? And it was devastating. I found out later the reason was that he had been secretly dating the woman I was seeing and crazy in love with. So he just saw that as a convenient opportunity to steal the companies from me and the girl, and he ended up with both. He then sold the website company for millions of dollars behind my back, and there were lawsuits and, you know, basically by the end of the line, the lawyers got most of the money, and I ended up with, about 6 months living expenses. And that was it. And the really sick twist is that he was independently wealthy. He had inherited 8 figures. So he didn't need the money. He could have lived comfortably for the rest of his life just on his inheritance. And he took everything from me. And it was a true dark night of the soul, as they call it.
I'm sure the
Everything went
betrayal.
to hell. Yeah, the betrayal was part of it. I lost my best friend. I lost the woman I was in love with. But more importantly, I lost my career. I lost my education. And the psychological term is identity annihilation. And it's one of the worst, most devastating things that can happen to a person. I didn't know who I was or what I could do moving forward. And it was a disaster. So here I was living with my parents, dealing with constant chronic pain, being told there's no hope of recovery and no chance I could ever be able to work or support myself or have a normal life. And, that was devastating, especially to a young man. And I got very depressed. I was day drinking. I was using drugs. I was suicidal. But I had a friend of mine turn me on to positive thinking. He said, Brent, when life's got you down and you don't know what to do, that's when we really need this stuff, right? So, long story short, for about 6 months, I was this gung-ho positive thinking warrior. I put power words on my walls and I said my mantras every day. And I joined masterminds and I pay money to go to these weekend seminars where I jump around on the stage and shout out how powerful I was, right? But after about 6 months of that, nothing changed. My pain didn't get better. Uh, I wasn't able to work. And most importantly, I was building up this big credit card debt, running around doing all this positive thinking stuff, right? And I gave up on that. And I was very lucky that I had another friend of mine turn me on to alternative medicine. Because growing up, I grew up in a culturally conservative area. And the thinking was, well, all that nutrition and acupuncture and all that is just a bunch of hippie nonsense, right?
Where
For
did you grow
people
up?
in Orange County, Southern California.
Okay. So I'm
So,
in North Alabama, so I get
okay.
the
Yeah.
cultural.
So very culturally conservative.
Yes.
And basically the thinking was, well, that stuff is just for people that are too dumb to go to real doctors, right? But I was desperate. I was willing to try anything. And so long story short, the next 5 years of my life, here I am living in my parents' basement, trying to survive on disability benefits, running around creating this gigantic credit card debt, doing all this alternative medicine. And I was doing everything I could find. I started with acupuncture and Chinese medicine and herbs. And I went to naturopaths and they had me do cleanses and change my diet. And then I went to an osteopath and I went to a chiropractor. And I mean, I was doing all these things. I got trained in ergonomics and I did biofeedback and I went to psychologist and I could go on and on and on. I had all these different machines and gadgets, vibration machines and chi machines and electric stims and magnets and all this stuff. And what happened to me was, every now and then I'd find some new person who had some new thing and they'd say, "Oh, Brent, I'm so glad you found me. I can fix you." And I'd spend a lot of time and a lot of money and nothing would change. And it wasn't even that I was stagnant, I was getting worse.
Mm.
My pain was getting worse over time. And I reached kind of the end of my rope in 2003. And I agreed to have, I didn't want to, but I kind of had to take a risk. I volunteered for an experimental surgery. I found a doctor that thought, Brent, I have a new procedure. I think this can help you. And so I signed up. And as you can probably guess, had the doctor been right and they had cured me of my pain, I wouldn't be here today, right? I would have gone right back to tech and that would have been that. But instead, when I woke up, my right arm was paralyzed. I couldn't move it at all.
Wow.
And so that was kind of rock bottom for that time. And long story short, it was about 5 months that I was trying all these treatments to get my arm to go. Physical therapy, I did a manipulation under anesthesia. I slept in dynasplints. I used a CPM machine, all this stuff, but nothing was working. And when I was just kind of resigned to the fact that I'm never going to use my arm again, which is a huge problem, right?
Yes.
But you don't
Especially, I
realize,
assume you're right-handed.
yeah, I'm right-handed. That there's so many things in life you just can't do with one hand.
Hmm.
Like try flossing your teeth with one hand. Let me know how that goes. So many things. And uh, it was funny that my Aunt Lauren had told me about her friend Terry, and they had worked together in finance. And Terry was this super smart Wharton School MBA financial professional. And long story short, she got sick with black mold infestation, and it almost killed her. And she found this process of energy healing using theta brainwaves to clear subconscious blocks, and it saved her life, and she started to get better. And I remember seeing her email that went out right around when I had my surgery that said, "Hey, everyone, I want you to know I'm quitting my job. I'm going to be a full-time energy healing practitioner. Call me if you want a session." And I laughed, right?
Sure.
I'm like, wow, this lady's really gone off the deep end of the new age pool, right? And I just kind of pushed it out of my mind. But my aunt would call me about once a month and go, Brent, how's it going? Terrible. Are you better? No. Have you called Terry? No. And so that was kind of funny because uh, the reason I didn't call Terry was I had done some kinds of energy healing before. I had done a little bit of Reiki healing. I had done a little bit of pranic healing. So some of the better known hands-on techniques. And honestly, I didn't feel it did anything for me. It was just kind of boring. It's like, okay, I lay here for 30 minutes and you wave your hands over me.
Hmm.
I'm bored. Can I leave now? Had it helped me, that would have been fine, but it didn't.
Hmm.
And honestly, I felt the same way about acupuncture. It was a little painful, a lot boring. It didn't do anything for me. And I know it helps other people, and I got no issue with that, right? No problem with that. Just didn't do anything for me. And eventually, after about 5 months of this, my aunt was like, okay, Brent, what's it going to take for you to see Terry? And she said, I'll pay for the session. And I was like, okay, let me match that and raise you, buy me dinner. And and she's like, sure, Brent, where do you want to go? And I said, Drago, which was this high-end Italian place, right? One of the more expensive restaurants in the city. I said it jokingly, but she said, okay. And I was like, all right, I'll go see Terry. And so I remember I had an 11 a.m. appointment with her. I think it was a Tuesday. And I went and met her. And I had met her once or twice before at family functions and things because they had been friends for a long time. But wasn't someone I knew well. And she basically explained to me how the subconscious is really powerful. And if you have blockages in the subconscious, then things just don't work for you. And that kind of made sense to me, right? It explained why I'd been through all these years and years of treatment and nothing took. And so she introduced me to muscle testing, which was very interesting, and then asked me a lot of questions. And she asked me about my childhood, and she asked me about all the pain I'd been in, and the betrayal by my best friend, and the career I'd lost, and the education I'd lost, and the depression I was experiencing, and all these things. And it was interesting. But the whole time I'm thinking, hey, lady, I'm not here to talk about my feelings, right? I'm here because I'm in pain and I can't move my arm and I don't know what else to do. Right. And so we had the session and she did this block clearing thing. And it was all very interesting, especially because there was nothing physical to it. In other words, she didn't manipulate my body. She didn't tap on me. I didn't take anything. There was nothing like that. It was all done with the mind. And at the end of the session, she said, okay, let's see if we can fix your arm. And I laughed. I'm like, you and what army, right? And she kind of closed her eyes and went into a trance for a minute. And I'm sitting there looking out the window, thinking about what I want to get for lunch on the way home, right? I'm like, this was interesting, but whatever. On to the next thing. I'm going to get my free dinner. We're good. And the craziest thing happened when, about 30 seconds into this trance, there was this loud crack and pop in my elbow. And I would say it's, the kind of cracks and pops we all get in our joints as we get older, but like times 20. Like it reverberated through my whole body, crack, boom. And I was like, whoa. And I think Terry must have heard it because she opened her eyes and said, okay, let's try your arm. And I did. And I could not believe it. I got my arm back, that I had experienced a genuine miracle. And so that's a very long answer to your simple question. How did you get into this? And so the short version is I kind of stumbled into it. I was desperate, willing to try anything to get better, but I didn't expect it would give any results to me.
Mm,
Because again, I had done so much alternative work. I'd done other kinds of, more superficial energy healing, and it didn't help me at all.
mm,
And I was so amazed that I dedicated myself in that moment. I want to learn this, and I don't just want to learn how to do it. I want to figure out how it works.
mm,
Because that's what they taught me at MIT. You take something cool, you figure out how it works, take it apart, and then put it back together and make it better. And that's exactly what I wanted to do with energy healing. I wanted to figure out what was really going on and then go back and make it better. And but before we go further, I want to be totally honest with everyone listening. I don't want people to take away the wrong message. So what did happen that day is my frozen elbow from the surgery that I hadn't moved in over 5 months, that instantly healed. Never gave me a problem again. No, really a genuine miracle. What did not happen was it wasn't like all my problems got solved in an hour and I lived happily ever after, right? So all the chronic pain I'd been in did not heal instantly. My depression, my social anxiety, my difficulties with relationships, my low self-esteem, my career, none of that healed instantly. But with a lot more work measured in months and years, not days, but months and years, I was able to make improvement on all those fronts. So I learned everything I could from Terry. And for me, one of the biggest gifts of the miracle wasn't just getting my arm back. That was big, but it gave me a path forward with my career that was compatible with my disabilities. That was really life changing because I looked at Terry and she was doing this full time. She was seeing like 4 or 5 clients a day. She was teaching classes, practice groups, right? Writing material. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? I think I can do that. And I did. And, the long story short is when I first started learning healing, I was a little arrogant, maybe a lot arrogant, because I figured this should be easy, right? It's just a bunch of new age fluff. Because from my perspective, I'm like, look, I was a National Merit Scholar, valedictorian in my high school, straight A's at MIT, which is extremely rare. I had all these academic awards and achievements and so on, right? I had created a brand new kind of video game that no one in the world had ever done before. And I figured learning healing, this will be easy. It wasn't. It was tough. And when I took my first training with Terry, there was close to 100 students there. And I was dead last in terms of my ability. I just couldn't do it all at first. Why? I was completely stuck in my mind. And so for her, it had been very easy. She just learned it and it worked. It wasn't that easy for me. So I decided to take a different approach. Rather than just blindly reciting someone else's recipe and hoping it worked, which is how most people learn healing. Nothing wrong with that, just didn't work for me. I decided to reverse engineer it. And so when I started this journey of learning healing, I figured it'll take me 6 months. I should have it figured out. Well, it took 10 years, is the truth of it. But eventually I figured it out. I understood what was really going on. And that's part of the technology I call the formula for miracles. That if you really understand how a human works and know how to work with consciousness, you can create effects that look miraculous. But let's talk about that word miracle for a second. What is a miracle? Well, a miracle is essentially some phenomena that cannot be explained by our current level of science and technology, right?
Mm.
So if you took antibiotics back in time to the Civil War, they would see that as a miracle, wouldn't they?
Cell
It's like,
phone,
oh my gosh,
all of
right?
our technology these days.
Take your cell phone back in time 100 years. They would call it a miracle, wouldn't it? Now we've all got one in our pocket. And that's how I looked at it.
Mm.
And one of the things that makes me a little different, maybe weird in the healer community is I see this all as technology.
Mhm.
I don't see it as mysticism, though there is a mystical aspect.
Mhm.
I don't see it as religion, though there is that aspect to it. I don't see it as philosophy, though there is a philosophical part to it for sure. I see it as technology and specifically consciousness technology. And I think that word's really important because what I found is perhaps the greatest gift we humans have been given is our consciousness, awareness that knows it's aware. But most of us have no idea how it works or what to do with it. Imagine if you gave a caveman a cell phone. What would they do with it?
Hit it against a rock.
They'd hit it against a rock, right?
Yep.
They might use it to hold something down, use it like a paperweight, right? They may play catch with it. They would have no idea that it can do math. It can take pictures. It can record videos. It can talk to other phones in real time, right?
Mhm.
They would have no idea. And that's kind of how we are now. That in terms of the technological evolution, I think that energy healing, intuition, meditation, law of attraction, all that kind of stuff, we're kind of where humans were maybe 300 years ago with respect to electricity.
Sure.
That primitive humans weren't stupid, they just didn't have technology, right?
Mhm.
So primitive humans could look at a lightning bolt and see there's something happening there, right?
Mhm.
Lightning bolt strikes a tree, it catches on fire. Lightning bolt strikes a human, they die. And Benjamin Franklin famously put a key on a kite and flew it in a thunderstorm because he wanted to prove that lightning was essentially the same phenomena as things like static electricity. And he did. So the point is, uh, more primitive people, they weren't stupid. They recognized electricity. They saw what it could do, but they had no idea how it worked.
Mhm. Or how to
And
harness it.
that's where a lot of the new age protocols are right now. That people have found if you do this process and this process, sometimes this happens.
Mhm.
But they don't understand what's going on the inside, right? So it becomes more of a rote copying someone else's recipe.
Mhm.
And again, that's how we all start, right? You take your first healing training, they'll teach you some process. You do A, B, C, D, and then you just kind of hope that you get a good result.
Mhm.
And that's how I started too. But that wasn't enough for me.
Mhm.
What I wanted to do was I wanted to debug the system. Because remember, I told you about my journey, how I got to this, right?
Mhm.
I had had so many people take my time and take my money and sell me false hope.
Yes.
And I'd work with them for 3 months or 6 months or a year or whatever it was, right? Spend 1,000, 5,000, $20,000, whatever it was. And at some point, they just go, sorry, Brent, I can't help you. Try something else. And I hated that. Why? As a software developer, I would never say that to my client.
Right.
I would never say, oh, there's a bug in your program. I'm out. Hire someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You'd probably get sued if you do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, what you do is you debug it. Throw it in a debugger, add some logging, right? Identify what's really going on and fix the code. And that's what I wanted to do with healing. And so I'd say that what we're starting into now would be sort of the 19th century in regards to electricity. When the 19th century started, electricity was just this magical, almost supernatural phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. And
Some
many people
people
didn't trust it.
yeah, many people didn't trust it at first. And there were some advanced thinkers that had theories about it, but no one knew for sure. Well, by the end of the 19th century, we had figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Tesla and uh, all the other great scientists that, figured out these are the laws of electricity and magnetism. And we then took it and built technology with it. We built electric lights as one example. And that was huge. That's what I want to do for energy healing. I want to take it out of the realm of mystical, supernatural, because again, I believe everything has an explanation within science.
Mm-hmm.
It's just our science may not be up to the job yet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And to be a little more precise, I think that science has done a pretty darn good job of figuring out the physical laws of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
We're not done yet, right? But
Yeah.
we got quantum mechanics, we got general relativity, we got chemistry, we got biology, we got DNA science, we got all this cool stuff, right? And what I want to do is I want to try to do the same thing for energy healing and intuition. Turn it into a reproducible, verifiable phenomena that we use to do useful things. Because after all, look around our world now. None of the things we're doing would work without electricity, would they?
Mm-hmm.
You can't run your computer. You can't access the internet. You can't watch TV. You can't use your microwave. I mean, heck, some of us have electric cars. You can't even drive your car without electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see is in the future, we will be trained in how to use our consciousness. I would love to see this taught in schools.
Yes.
What are you? What is consciousness? How does it work? What is the power of the mind? Not just as some abstract theory, but as a reproducible technology, if that makes sense, right?
Yes.
That science has done great with the physical laws, but it has largely ignored the metaphysical laws.
Yes.
What is that? The law of attraction, the law of equivalent exchange, things like that. And that's what I want to do. I want to be that 19th century scientist figuring out electricity, Maxwell's equations, right? For the nerds in the crowd, I want to be the Maxwell of energy healing and intuition because he's the guy that figured out the exact formula for how it works. And I'm not there yet, but I have created some pretty cool technology. Just one example. And again, I want to be clear. I'm not a doctor. I can't make medical claims, blah, 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 right? But I have found that this process works really well for allergies, especially cat and dog allergies. How did I learn this? Simple. When the first several years of my healing business, I worked out of my home. A lot of healers do, right? People would come over, we'd sit in my living room, just like I did with Terry. She worked out of her home, and we do a healing session. But every now and then I get a client, I had cats, and they would say, "Oh my God, Brent, I can't do this. I'm allergic to cats. We have to cancel." And I would say, "No, no, no, don't sweat it." I would take them outside in the hallway, spend about 5 minutes doing clearings on their allergy, and never once across probably 50, 60 people did I have someone that didn't clear their allergy. I never had to cancel a session because one of my clients was allergic to cats. And what happened was I got busy for a while, known as the allergy guy. And I got bored out of my mind, though,
Yeah.
doing the same protocol on the same thing, cat allergy, dog allergy, over and over. So that's what led me to develop what I call the Formula for Miracles technology. It's a process of specially encoding an audio that will do the healing just by listening to it. And so, and I created it not necessarily because I was looking to change the world. I just didn't want to spend 20 hours a week grinding through the same protocol over and over. And
Hmm.
that's just my personality, right? For some people,
Well,
that's
that's
great. So,
harnessing technology. That's what
yeah,
we're here to do, really,
exactly.
is find better ways of
Yes,
doing mundane
that's me.
tasks.
I'm the one that I want to learn your system first. I'll shut up and learn. But once I grok it, I'm going to start taking it apart and improving it.
Hmm.
I'll get bored out of my mind just using what's given to me over and over, right?
Sure.
So I created this ability to clear the blocks just by listening. And what I found is it has about a 90% success rate. It's not 100%. There are people that need deeper work than just a 20-minute audio,
Yeah.
but it's remarkable how many people it can change their life. I had a client once who was a type 1 diabetic who was allergic to insulin.
Oh,
Can
that's
you imagine?
problematic.
Yes. So he had to inject himself whatever 6 times a day or whatever it is, or he would die. But every time he did, rash, inflammation, pain.
Mm.
Can you imagine how horrible that must be? And the truth is, he booked a healing session with me, hoping to heal the type 1 diabetes. That didn't happen. I believe it can, it just didn't in that case, right? But we totally cleared his allergy to insulin, and that changed his life. And so, and again, I'm not here just to talk about allergies. That's just one example of the technology, right?
Yeah.
And
Are you
what I've,
familiar with Richard Bartlett?
of course, I took his trainings.
Okay, cool. Because
Yep.
I've in the years that I've been studying all of this, you do find that's a big problem with this is that you do find a lot of kooks, and you do
Yes.
find a lot of people who are just charismatic and manipulating
Yes.
the technology, the system, the
Yes.
people
They
that.
are, the term I've heard is they're magicians.
Okay, yes.
They are masters of illusion, sleight of
Hmm.
hand, deception. And
Yes,
it makes a great stage show. So
it is.
there's nothing wrong with being a magician. Just don't sell yourself as a wizard.
Yeah.
And,
So, walk us through what your process looks like.
and so what I do with people is a little different than I used to. That in the old days, like many people, my business was centered around selling people information, right? You can buy my books, you can come take a class with me, things like that. What I found is the long-term value is not just in the information, it's in the community, it's the people you work with.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so that took me 2 decades to understand.
Yeah, me
And it's
too.
funny, yeah, it's funny you asked that because I learned the exact same thing in martial arts. When I was a young man in martial arts, I'd have my buddies or whatever say to me, "Hey man, I want to learn to kick butt. What martial arts should I take?" And they wanted me to say, "Oh, karate's better than jujitsu or something like that," right?
Hmm.
What I told them was this. I said, "Don't worry about that. Go to some dojos, meet the people. Pick the people you want to train with. That's the most important thing. And learn whatever art they're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to make you kick butt, metaphorically, right?"
They do all translate, so it doesn't
They do.
matter which
Yes.
inlet you
Yes.
start with.
And ultimately, what I do is a more advanced form of it. And I'll answer your question in more detail, but are you familiar with the term Jeet Kune Do, developed by Bruce Lee?
Yes.
And so what it means is it's the style of no style. But Jeet Kune Do is not something you can go learn as a beginner. It's like graduate level. You have to have a foundation in a traditional art first. Then you can learn Jeet Kune Do to develop your own personal style,
Hmm.
which might be some mix of the things you've learned and something new, if that makes sense.
It's the art part.
Yes, it is the art. So a good Jeet Kune Do instructor will say, that's great, you want to learn this, go spend 5 years learning Wing Chun or Shotokan or Aikido first.
You have to
Then
know
come
the
talk to me.
rules in order to
Right.
be able to break them
There needs to be a
properly.
foundation.
Hmm.
Just like you can't take a caveman and throw him into MIT.
Hmm.
Cavemen were just as smart as us, actually smarter, the research shows. They had larger brains, which is
Yes.
wild. They were actually smarter than us. But the caveman hasn't learned arithmetic and algebra and geometry and calculus. How in the world are you going to teach them differential equations? You can't.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with the caveman. It's just he doesn't have the foundation, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I do now. I do Jeet Kune Do. I've, probably like you and many of your listeners, I have a whole closet full of certifications of all these seminars and trainings I've done, right?
Mhm.
I did Richard Bartlett's Matrix Energetics right up until level 3 when he told us what we were really doing, and I got up and left. One of the few times I've done that. And I don't want to talk bad about anyone, so I don't want to go into a lot of detail. It's just I literally ran for the door. I'm like, no, this is not for me. No, thank you. I didn't even ask for my money back. I'm just like, let me go, right? It'd be like if you took a loan from the mob. You pay them back, you give them interest, and you run. Just no, don't mess with it. But that's just me, right? And so what I do is I talk to people first before I work with them. And my most important question is, are you a good fit for our community? That to me is prime. Why? I have found, to answer your question directly, there's two ways I work with people. And they're both valid, they're just very different. The first way I work with people is a miracle slot machine. That, my so-called miracle rate, to give a rough number, about 10%. So it's not 70 or 90, but it's not zero. Meaning if I look at the number of sessions I've done over my career, and I look at the number of life-changing miracle testimonials I have, it's about 10%. So putting your money, you pull the handle, maybe a miracle comes out, maybe it doesn't. And I know a lot of people, they don't want to spend time on something, they don't want to work at it. I get that. So you can use me that way, and I don't mind. But what I'm really looking for is people that are willing to walk the walk. That I found, like, to use my example with Terry, that did I get a miracle on my first pull of the slot machine? I did. But it was a partial healing, not a total healing. So I said my paralyzed arm healed instantly. But all the pain and problems with my body that led me to have the surgery, none of that shifted. Not in the first session. It took months to a few years of work and it started to shift. So that's why I say I like to talk to people to get a sense in the first session of, are you just pulling the handle looking for a miracle? And if you are, I don't mind, right? Some people love to come to Las Vegas and play the slot machine. That's cool, right?
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with that. Just not my thing. I'm more interested in how do we get to that 80, 90, 99%?
Mhm.
And the answer is simple. Join the community and work with people regularly.
Mhm.
Just like if you want to learn a martial art, right? If you want to be a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there is no weekend seminar that can do that for you. I don't care how good the teacher is.
Mhm.
It takes years to get to that level of skill.
Mhm.
How do you do it? You find a dojo and you show up and train over and over and over. One thing they say at the dojo I'm at now, do you know what's the difference between a white belt and a black belt? The white belt didn't show up as much as the black belt.
Mm.
That's the only difference.
Literally.
That's it.
Mhm.
That literally every person, if you want to get a black belt, I guarantee you can find a dojo that can train you to get there.
Mhm.
But you just got to show up.
Mhm.
You got to be willing to make a commitment to it, right?
Yep. It's the practice.
Yeah, it's the practice. And that's why I say I found the deeper magic is in the practice and the people
Yes.
is part of it.
Yes.
Because if you don't fit in with the people, you're not going to enjoy it, right?
Mhm.
And one thing I loved about when I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was the people were amazing.
Mhm.
I loved to go out to eat with them afterwards, right? We'd joke around, we'd play video games together. I made friends. It really was a community.
Mhm.
I've had a lot of people tell me, dozens of people, they met their life, the best friend of their whole life in our community. And I'm so proud of that. And how long will it take you to get there? The answer is, I don't know.
Mhm.
It depends on where you are and where you're trying to get to, right?
Yep.
That's the honest answer. There are cases where people get what they want very quickly.
Mhm.
There's other cases where it might take years.
Mhm.
It's usually not years, but it happens. One of my favorites was a woman, this was just before COVID, 2019, I think. She had heard me on the radio, came to one of my talks, and she was all in. She bought the biggest package I offered. Basically, every single training, every single program, all my books, plus a chunk of private sessions, and paid for it all up front. And it was amazing. She came to the first training, and we did one private. A couple weeks passed, she came to the first advanced training. We did two more privates, and then I didn't hear from her. And I was worried. Was she in an accident? Did she die? Right? I called her a couple of times. Hey, everything okay? Just want to get you on the books. I want to make sure, I want to support you, right? She called me back one day. Her thing was fertility. She and her husband had been working for years on trying to get pregnant, and they had spent well into six figures on it. As anyone that's had the fertility issue knows, it gets really expensive really fast.
Oh yeah.
One set of treatments can be like 40 grand, right?
Yeah.
And she had been working on this for like 7, 8 years, had spent over $200,000.
Mm.
And after working with me for 3 weeks, she got pregnant by her husband, just so we're clear, right? I only worked with her over the phone. Yes, her husband got her pregnant, and she delivered a healthy baby 9 months later. So that was a case where she didn't need the whole shebang, but she had committed to it. She had made the exchange, and she was willing to show up as long as she needed to.
Hmm.
That's kind of the takeaway, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it does because it's you can look at it from the direction of collective consciousness and how we're communal creatures. And if we don't have that community and support, then
Yes.
we're always going to hit roadblocks. We're always going to
Hmm.
hit blocks. And our society's done really good, as you said earlier, as analyzing the physical and understanding the physical. But we forget that the mental, the metaphysical, the emotional is all tied into the physical. And, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right.
So it's an internal feedback loop. So the
Yep.
physical problems could lead to the mental and emotional stuff, but the mental and emotional stuff can also lead to the physical stuff.
It's tricky because we don't all work the same, do we?
Mm. Yeah,
There is no one recipe that's going to fix everybody.
no,
And that's why I practice a form of Jeet Kune Do. I got a lot of tools in my bag. I can do what I call the first gen work, meaning positive thinking, mantra, affirmations, secret stuff, right? I generally don't. That's very rare. Because most people, by the time they find me, they've already done that and it doesn't work.
sure.
I
And it's the
spend
boring
it,
stuff at
yeah,
this
it's the
point.
boring stuff, right? It doesn't happen to be very much. I spend a lot of time in what I call the second generation, using techniques similar to theta healing, Psych K, healing codes, emotion codes, EFT, NLP. Basically, processes that see the subconscious as code, and we find a block and we debug it.
Hmm.
And my first foundational that I learned from Terry was theta healing. And so that was kind of my karate that led to my Jeet Kune Do. But I also have some tools in my bag that almost no one else has. And that was thanks to my late mentor, Carl. He taught me about movement for embodiment and the advanced entrainment technologies. He called it quantum field entrainment, where you're not only lowering your brainwave, because everyone knows about brainwaves, right? At least anyone serious into this world.
Yes.
We all know about the theta wave. The theta wave unlocks the subconscious. It's the dreaming wave.
Hmm.
That's kind of a no-brainer, in my perspective, at least. If it's not for you, great. You're going to be blown away. It's really cool stuff, right? Uh, but the third generation is also synchronizing the brainwave and also turning on the vagus nerve, that upping the vagal tone and balancing the hormones in the body. We call it beaming. One of the cool effects is you get psychedelic effects. You will see energy and auras with your open eyes. You will see people's past and future lives on their faces. And that's, we don't do it for, I call it brain candy. It's cool, but it's not the reason we do it.
Yeah.
The reason we do it is to balance the mind and the body to put us into a growth and expansion state. And the way I would describe it is there is some magic to it that it's like turning up the okayness of everything in your life. And that's so important because if I were to do a 5 minute beaming session with you, before and after those 5 minutes, nothing on the outside is going to change significantly, is it? You're going to have the same body, the same bank account, the same living space, the same car, the same job, the same cat, the same boyfriend, whatever, right?
Mhm.
None of that's going to change in 5 minutes. Most likely, all your problems will still be there 5 minutes later, huh?
Mhm.
But you'll feel it's all more okay.
Mhm.
It's like my problems seem more solvable. My goals seem more achievable. And that's really important.
Yeah.
We combine that with the somatics, meaning the physical movement, because for the higher level healing, you must involve the body.
Mhm.
One of the limitations to this first and second gen techs is they're very mind focused. So if you were going to go do EFT or healing coach or something like that, it's a lot of mind work,
Mhm.
right? Talk about this, think about this, test this, tap on your body there.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that, but we got to involve the whole body to get deep to for some people.
Mhm.
And really, I try to match the right tool to the job. It's that simple. That when I talk about the different kinds of technology, a good metaphor would be transportation. Let's say that I live in Las Vegas and I want to go to Tokyo. There is no one mode of transportation that will take me from my living room to Tokyo. There's not. But I can walk to my car, drive to the airport, and fly in an airplane to Japan. It needs all three.
Mhm.
And that's a lot of what I do with my clients and students. I show them these are the technologies you need sequenced in this way to get to where you want to go.
Mhm.
And it is a little different for every person.
Mhm.
If there was just one formula that worked for everybody, I would encode it on something and put it on the internet and get rich and retire.
Mhm.
There's not. We're all different.
Mhm.
And that's why we still need humans in the loop. As much as I love AI, and we could talk for hours just about how to use AI for personal transformation to open you up intuitively, that's an active area I'm working with every day now.
Mhm.
Because I think the human plus the AI can do things that neither can alone.
I agree.
And I think that a few years down the road, healing and personal transformation will be something like 10 times more powerful than it is now. But it's all about using the technology properly. But I want to be clear, uh, be careful just using AI alone. It can
Mhm.
be dangerous, and I'm serious about that because AI is overconfident and it hallucinates. And so that my joke would be, and it thinks that every idea you've ever had is the greatest idea ever,
Yeah, it does. It's very
right?
people pleasing.
Yes, it's way too, in my opinion, way too people pleasing.
A little
So that's,
narcissistic.
yeah, a little narcissistic. I get why they had to make it that way, right?
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize where it works is AI within a human container. So you have a coach or a healer that supervises and helps you set up and use the AI in a functional way. Very similar to, I don't know anybody that's become a master of karate by reading books,
Right.
period, right? Or watching YouTube videos.
Mhm.
Everyone seems to think they can. But what happens if you read 1,000 books on karate and watch 1,000 YouTube videos on karate, but you never train at a dojo?
Yep.
What happens when you enter the tournament? They're going to knock your butt right out.
Yep.
You'll probably get hurt. You'll be totally unready for it. So that's why I just want to caution people, make sure you have a human coach, guide, mentor to help you oversee it, someone that knows what they're doing. Then it can be phenomenally powerful. And
Mhm.
that's actually a pilot program I'm developing right now is light amounts of human management and the day-to-day you work with a specially trained AI that I've developed. That the working title is called HealBot because it can do things that I can't, and that's amazing. I just want to show people the right way to use it that's safe, right? You might say that's why we don't let toddlers drive cars.
Mhm.
When my son was 4, he totally wanted to drive the family car.
Yep.
I said no. It wasn't that I didn't love him. It's just it would not have been safe. He wasn't ready.
Mhm.
Now he's 15 and he's getting ready to drive. Why? He's ready for it now. That's what I want to say. It can be an amazing tool. Just make sure you have supervision and a safety container around it. And I just want to call out to everyone that thinks they're going to lone wolf it, right?
Mm,
I don't need to work with a group. I don't need a healer or a coach. I'll just listen to podcasts and watch YouTube. Well, you'll get a lot of information, but you will embody nothing.
mm-hmm,
And the information's great. It's useful. You need it. It's like reading 1,000 books on karate and entering the Cobra Kai tournament.
mm-hmm.
You're going to get slaughtered. At
Yeah.
some point, you're going to have to do the work. Why? If you want to learn karate, go to the dojo. You
Mm-hmm,
throw a punch, the teacher corrects you.
mm-hmm,
You throw another punch, the teacher corrects you.
mm-hmm,
5,000 punches later, you're breaking boards.
mm-hmm,
And healing, intuition, purpose, making money, finding love, no different.
mm-hmm,
And the people I'm looking for, especially, are those that are not one size fits all. Because that was me, right? When I was on my journey of alternative medicine, there were so many people I saw that were very, very good. The first Chinese doctor I went to, he was the guy that treated all the Lakers. He worked on Shaquille O'Neal twice a week. And he was, worked with a bunch of celebrities. And I saw him twice a week for 2 years. Didn't help me at all. And I was that outlier. And so, my personal passion is working with broken geniuses, people that have a great gift that they really want to share with the world, but life has just screwed them. Maybe it's physical illness or pain or emotional illness or addiction or childhood trauma or whatever it is. That, my crowd tends to be intelligent and educated, though not all of them are, but they tend to be really high level thinkers that are serious about learning and growing, that believe if we can just get deep enough, this can be resolved.
mm-hmm,
And that's exactly what I experienced. That's why I said when I started my healing journey, I thought, oh, I got a miracle in one day. In 6 months, all my problems will be solved.
mm-hmm.
Nah, no. Even after 25 years, my life is not perfect, but it's so much better than it would have been otherwise.
What was the big recipe formula for you?
For me, there were two pieces. One was I had to learn the second gen stuff to clear up my physical and emotional health.
Mm,
So a lot of deep-seated traumas, a lot of EFT, theta healing, EMDR, NLP kind of stuff. That helped to reduce my pain. It didn't eliminate it, but it allowed me to restart my life. I came off disability. I started a business, going out with friends, right? But that only took me to a certain place. To get beyond that, I needed the third gen work, and that's how I met Carl. That uh, things I had done before Carl didn't get me out of my head. So the block clearing was very useful, but it wasn't enough for me. I needed the physical, somatic, experiential piece too, and the understanding of the big picture, which I call awakening. Some people will call it Advaita Vedanta or non-duality, but that non-dual realization is huge. And I would say the difference is with the highest level work, it changes you on the inside. So the work I did before that was useful and valuable for sure. It created the foundation, but it left me intact and just changed my body and my experience of it, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm,
But I was still suffering. The highest level work I learned from Carl changes the you in the middle. You really become a different kind of person. And again, not everyone needs that.
mm-hmm.
And I usually start people with the second gen work because it's easier, it's more accessible, and tends to produce faster results. And that's important.
Yeah.
There's just only so much it can do. I would say it's going to take a lot longer to learn to fly an airplane than to drive a car.
Mm,
So most people learn to drive a car first.
mm-hmm,
It's easier, it's faster, it's very practical, right? But a car can't cross an ocean. So the higher level work does have a steeper learning curve. It does take longer to learn and to apply and embody, but is more powerful. And that's why I offer both. Some people just need a little bit of this and another bit of that. If we were a car, You might say some people just need a tune-up,
Mhm.
or you got to replace the spark plugs or something, right? Um, Others, we got to tear down the engine and rebuild it.
Mhm.
And I don't want to tear down your engine unless that's what we have to do.
Mhm.
So with most people, I start with the easier work to get into it, to get comfortable, to see some results. That gives them the motivation, the drive. If we need the higher level work, it's there. And my goal is to be the guide. That one of the things they taught at MIT was this: there's two ways that we learn. One is we learn from our own mistakes.
Mhm.
Number two is you learn from someone else's mistakes. So what I want to offer to everybody is, if you would like to learn from me and my mistakes, I've been on this path for 25 years now, full time. I've made a lot of mistakes. I would be happy to share it with you if you find it useful. That being said, if you got to make the mistakes on your own, go for it. I will not stand in your way.
Mhm.
I'll just warn everyone, if you think you're going to lone wolf it, I've never heard of anyone that succeeded in a big way.
Mhm.
So podcast, YouTube is great, but at some point you got to work with people.
Mhm.
You got to make a commitment, and it will take time and money, period.
Mhm.
One thing I try to pride myself on is I will try to accommodate almost any budget of time and money. That you tell me what it is, I'll stay within it. It's just the bigger the budget, the faster we get there, right? But, if you're serious about it, you tell me what your limits are, and I will give you a plan that works within it.
Mhm.
And, then it's just a matter of, will you show up? And a lot of people are wondering, hey, Brent, this is my problem. How long will it take? Right? Of course, there's a simple answer that asking me how long you will take to get to where you want to go is like asking how long does it take to debug software. There's no universal answer,
Mhm.
right? It might be 5 minutes. If the only thing wrong in your life is you're allergic to your cat, I might be able to solve that in 5 minutes. Again, no promises, right? But I've had a lot of success. But if you've been in pain for 30 years and have four diseases and, lost this money and had all this childhood trauma and all these things happen, I don't think that's going to happen in 5 minutes.
No.
But you can get there. It's just that's more of a rebuild than a tweak. And this is the answer. The question is not whether or not you can achieve your goal. Almost always you can. The question is, are you going to give up before you get there?
Mhm.
Because as soon as you give up, you're done.
Mhm.
Your chance of winning goes to zero. I think it was Kobe Bryant that said, you miss every shot you don't take.
Mhm.
And so, can you heal your body? Yes, almost certainly. Can you learn to make money, find love, sense of purpose, stop suffering, make a difference in the world? Yes, 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 and yes. But here's the trouble. Uh, Progress is not linear.
Right.
That you might get 90% of the way there and nothing changed, and you give up, not knowing that just one more session might have done it.
Mhm.
And I've had two master teachers in my life, first Terry and then Carl, and I almost didn't go to meet with either of them. I told you about Terry, right? My Aunt
Mhm.
Lauren had to bribe me to get me to go see her. And even then, I thought about blowing it off. Only reason I didn't was I had given my word to my aunt, right? It was that simple. So I showed up. When I met Carl, it was, it legitimately happened. I went bankrupt the day before I met him. That really happened. I spent my last $500 I had in the world on my first session with Carl. I didn't want to do it. It seemed stupid. And it was only because my life coach had so strongly recommended him. He basically said, Brent, you're too broken for me to fix. Sorry. Let me introduce you to the master. And I almost didn't do it. So I look back at my life and go, wow, I was one step away from transformation and I almost didn't take it. That's why I want to say to everyone listening, be clear, I'm not for everyone. I think fast. I talk fast. I'm obsessed with the truth. I don't care about new age fluff. I don't hate it. I just see it as an irrelevant noise.
Hmm.
So I don't wear crystals. I don't wear flowing robes. I don't have a Buddha statue or a bead curtain. I got no problem with any of those things, right? Just not Brent. I'm an engineer. I solve problems. I want to get to the core, fix it at the source, then let you go live your amazing life. That's not for everyone, right?
No,
If you want
no.
someone that's going to listen to your drama and give you a big hug and say it's all right,
Yeah.
um, you can use that for me. But one, I'm going to get bored, and two, I charge too much for that.
Hmm.
Plenty of people that charge less than me that can do that for you.
Hmm.
I'm about results. Find the truth. Find the source, right? I'm not interested in covering up the symptoms. I want to solve the problem at the source.
And that's
And
oftentimes uncomfortable.
it's almost always uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And that's why I say not every person is a good fit for me.
Hmm.
Honestly, it's about 50-50 of people that I talk to. About half are a good fit, half aren't. One example, I didn't used to screen people. In the old days, I'd work with anyone that paid the money, like most healers. And I had one person that I said, we started the session and they said, what's your issue? Issue X. Okay. I asked them two or three questions and she was like, oh no, Brent, that's too personal. I can't talk about that with you. And I'm like, okay, then what else do you want to work on? Okay. I have issue Y. Okay. We talk a few minutes. I ask them some questions. Same thing. Oh no, Brent, I can't talk about that. That's too deep. And so I'm like, are you allergic to anything? And we spent the rest of the session clearing allergies. And I said, thank you, but I can't work with you again. It almost certainly will be uncomfortable.
Yes.
And well, I'll give a hint to everybody. The speed at which you get to your goal is directly related to how willing you are to let go of what you think you know. And that's huge.
Hmm.
So, for example, if you're super religious and you're not willing to question any of your religious dogma, that doesn't stop us, but it slows us down a lot.
Hmm.
It may go so slow you can't get there.
Hmm.
If you're willing to let it go, it lets us go faster.
Hmm.
And I'll offer to everybody the question I like to ask for people that want to go deep. What are you? And when people answer that, it tells me a lot about where they're at in terms of their psychological and spiritual progress. And can you guess what my favorite answer is?
Please tell me.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's my favorite answer. I love that. Why? Uh, you ever go to the mall and you finally see a parking spot and you're all, oh boy, and you get up close and there's a motorcycle in it?
Mm.
We've all done that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that? Well, the motorcycle doesn't fill the whole parking spot, does it?
Mm.
But as long as there's a motorcycle there, you can't fit a car in.
Hmm.
And our truths are like that. As long as you're attached to your small truth, it's holding it up. It fills the whole spot. The large truth can't fit there. So if you're willing to let go of your small truths, and I'm not saying they're lies, right?
Sure.
Some people hold on to lies, but most of the time what they're holding on is a small truth. For example, there's a lot of small truth in religion, for sure.
Sure.
But if you're so attached to it, the big truth doesn't have space to move into.
Hmm.
So that's why I love one of my favorite answers is I don't know. If it's honest, right?
Hmm.
Because that tells me there's a space there. Then we can find the biggest truth that will fit inside of it. So that's how I like to work. And I mean, I could talk about modalities and techniques and all that, but again, it depends on the person,
Yeah.
right? Had you booked a session with me in 2004, I had one process, one protocol I would apply, and then I just kind of hope it works. And that's how I started. That's how everyone starts, right?
Hmm.
That's why I charged a lot less in 2004. I wasn't nearly as good.
Hmm.
Now I look at the person. I see what's really going on the inside. I look in your source code and I say, okay, we tweak this and this and this. I think this will do the trick. And sometimes it's fast and easy. I've had at least 1,000 miracles that happen in my very first session with someone, but sometimes it's not. And I can't control that.
Yeah.
What I will tell my students is I will share with you the truth the best I understand it. I can't promise that you'll like it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Just like you can look at the laws of physics, F equals ma, etc. That's how it works. If you don't like it, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
that's truth, you know? But if you're willing to get uncomfortable, to let go of what you think you know, and you're willing to make a commitment, that's the magic.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I gave the story of the woman that got pregnant in 3 weeks. She was willing to do the work. She
Mm-hmm.
made the commitment. She said, I will spend time. I will spend money. This is important to me.
And
That's the
sometimes all you
magic.
have to do is make the commitment.
Yes,
That's enough in
exactly.
and of itself. You don't have to go
Yes.
further.
Tara used to say that the transformation begins when you put down your registration, not at the start of the class. So as soon as you register, commit your time, your money, your energy,
Mm-hmm.
the magic starts to happen at that moment.
Because it opens up the possibilities.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because notice she didn't come to me and say, Brent, I need to be pregnant in 3 weeks or you suck. She would not have gotten good results. I wouldn't have worked with her. She said, what do I need to do? And I said, this, and this. She said, yes. Just lucky for her, she only had to do like 3% of it,
Mm-hmm.
but she had committed to the whole. That's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger your commitment, the faster your results.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty simple. But
Yes.
again, I recognize we're all under real world constraints. I would never expect someone to risk losing their home or starving their kids to work with me. Absolutely not.
Right.
That's why I say, you tell me your parameters. What's your budget of time, money? I'll come up with a program that'll work for you. It's just the bigger the budget, it'll be a lot faster, a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to work within our constraints, right?
Sure.
Not everyone can just write a $10,000 check,
Mm-hmm.
but almost everyone can commit to $90 a month,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
5 minutes a day.
Yeah, 5 minutes a day, $50, $90 a month. It'll take longer that way,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll get there. And that's what's
Yep.
most important.
Got to
The
start
question
somewhere.
is, yeah, the question isn't whether you'll get there, it's will you quit before you do?
Mm-hmm.
So the more openness, the bigger exchange, the more commitment, the faster. Pretty simple.
Sure.
My job is to make it as quick and easy and painless as possible. Though it won't be zero in any of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
There'll be some amount of time, some amount of money, and some amount of work involved. Might be an hour and $300.
Mm-hmm.
It might be 3 years and 6,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yep.
But whatever it is, and it's no different if you went to learn karate. If you tell them I can only take one class a week, they'll say, okay, you'll be a black belt in 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
You say, I'm doing 5 classes a week. Okay, you'll be a black belt in 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
You're going to get there either way. But the more you go to karate, the faster you become a black belt. Pretty simple.
Yeah. Well, you've convinced me to check out one of your books.
Awesome. I think you'll love it.
Do you have do you have audio versions of them?
I have audio versions of one of them you should be able to buy.
Okay.
And I have gone back and forth. I think I'm going to have to record them in my voice.
Hmm.
I've tried the AI voices like 11 Labs. It just isn't that great yet.
Yeah.
What I
Eh,
found is the AI is good, like the OpenAI text to speech is good for their generic pre-programmed voices,
mhm.
but it can't duplicate a human to make them really sound like a human, at least not to my ear. But I'm also an audiophile,
Yeah.
so I can hear things very, very cleanly and deeply.
Yeah.
And I just don't like how the artificial Brent sounds.
And it's better when the author does it themselves because
It
they
does.
understand what they're meaning and when they're trying
Yes.
to emphasize this or that. So
Yes. What
you
I will
compare
tell
to the
everyone is there's nothing stopping you from buying the PDF and throwing it into ChatGPT or Gemini. You can do that for free.
yeah.
You go, hey, Gemini, here's the first chapter of Brent's book. Turn this into a voice stream for me.
Yeah.
And it will do so for free. So that's just a little tip for people that don't like to read. If there's
Hmm.
no audiobook available, just have AI make one for you.
Yeah.
It's really easy.
Yeah. I love that we're finding all or we're being given all of these tools to make things a little more main or not mainstream, but streamlined.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Makes it more accessible.
Yeah.
I do love that.
And that's why my heel bot, I do not make available to the general public. I do not want people using it untrained and unsupervised. For the same reason, I didn't let my son drive when he was 4. When he's 15 and a half, the answer is yes. But people that want to work with me a little bit, I will give you access to it for free for everyone in our community. I just want to make sure you're ready for it, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Anything that's that powerful can cause harm as well as good, can't it?
Sure.
Just like a supplement or a medicine.
Mm-hmm.
If it does nothing, who cares? You don't need to regulate it, do you?
Mm-hmm.
The FDA does not regulate water, does it?
Mm-mm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But supplements and medicine, if you use them wrong, can make you sick, even kill you.
Mm-hmm.
So the more powerful it is, the more careful you need to be. I wanted to create something that was more powerful than anything else out there, which also means we need to be more careful. But, the initial results I've seen is that used properly, it can do a lot more than I can alone working with someone. I think that is going to be the future. AIs aren't going to replace humans. They're going to become partners with us,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting, kind of like the difference between a manual and an automatic transmission. 50 years ago, most people had manuals because they were faster, more fuel efficient, you had better control. Nowadays, automatic transmissions are so good, almost everyone has one.
Mm-hmm.
That the technology evolved to where it does it better than a human.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where we're going with AI.
Yeah.
And I want to be on the forefront of that.
Cool.
Very cool stuff. I'm really excited about the future. Let me just say that.
So am I, for
I am.
sure. So thank you so much. Tell everybody the next steps
Sure.
on where they want to find you, or I can just link your website below.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Link the website. But for everyone listening, if you just want to learn more, I would say go to my YouTube channel, hop on YouTube, type in Brent Michael Phillips. It should come right up. Got a couple hundred videos, keep you busy for a while. Uh, if this really resonates with you and you might want to work with me or considering the community, go to my website at awakeningdynamics.com. And again, I just want to say only if you're serious. If you are willing to spend time and money and energy on it, there's a link. You can book 20 minutes with me for free. No BS, no credit card, just for free. So I can talk to you to get a sense of whether you're a good fit for me and my work in my community. If you are, I will give you a custom design program on what I think will work for you. If you're not, I'll recommend something that I think will. And historically, it's about 50-50. About half of the people I work with are a good fit, half are not. But if you're not, I don't want to take any of your money. I will only take 20 minutes of your time and I'll try to point you in the right direction. If you are, many people tell me that when they join the community, it's like coming home for the first time. I hear that a lot. That, wow, I really feel like I belong and there's people like me that are really helping me. And that's my most important thing. I want to grow the community. I want to get the right people together because if we can get the right people together, everything else will work out.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, thank you.
This has been great.